Hi, welcome back to another episode of Coldstream Rod Shop. I'm Derek Fraser. We've been pretty busy this week working on other things. Daytime job was getting in the way. I wanted to do a video on the repairs we made to the fenders. Now, we did most of these repairs prior to us doing the YouTube videos, but the thing is, I kept a lot of the bits and pieces that I made, and we made a lot of still shots back when I made these repairs. So I'm going to go over each fender and how I did some of the repairs, and hopefully you can see some of the thought process of the way I did the repairs. So both fenders had two different repairs on them, or two different types of repairs. They're both original 32 Ford fenders, passenger car fenders. The biggest repair, or the most intimidating one I found to repair, was this bead line here, as you can see there. There was a lot of arc welding done to it because the fenders were crumpled at one point in time. Now, if you can see underneath the fender, you can see where I made this repair, and then I actually had to make the sides in two steps. One of the other things I chose to do was, instead of having the bolt go through the fender, I saw some other guys, they actually welded like a threaded rod on the inside so it'll hook up to the fender support. So there's a couple other ones we did. This one was simple and straightforward. A couple repairs here, filled up a couple holes. I needed to make a flat piece here, so that was relatively straightforward. Part of the bracket, the support bracket, was missing, so I put that in. So what I'm going to do is I'll take you over to the bench here, and I'll describe, or do my best to show you, how I made this bead repair here. So essentially I started out with a piece of paper, I traced the arc, and then I went over to my bead roller and I did a trial one. So I basically laid a bead on a piece of a flat sheet metal, and then I cut the excess off. Then I got a piece of, this is 1/8 rod, and it would fit, I bent it so it would fit in here. And we're gonna insert some pictures along the way here of me doing this. So I put it in the vise, and then I would have clamped it here, and I would have basically roll the metal over, would just tapping slowly by hand until I rolled the metal over and I formed that bead. Then I had to do it in two pieces because I actually had to shrink these edges here so I had a little bit of curve to it. So I made the two pieces there. The end product of it is like these little repairs here. You've rolled the edge over the rod. Oh. So these are bits and pieces left over. I did a similar one on the other fender I'll show you in a minute. So in the inserted pictures, you'll see where I actually cut this section out here and here, and there was also somebody had arc welded and put some lead and everything else in here. There was a square section here. So in order to form that, this was the piece that, oh, no, it would have went that way. This is the piece that I made that piece from. So I took a piece of metal, took it over to the English wheel, and I just kept on working on it until I got a crown. I used a shrinker on the edge to shrink some parts into it and hammered it flat until basically I had a piece that it would just fit perfectly over this section. And then I cut out the final piece and welded it in place. One thing I'll mention was when I was welding this, I didn't use coat hangers to fill up gaps. I know there's other people that use it, and it does work to use coat hangers to fill in those bigger gaps. But my training as a mechanical technologist says that coat hangers don't have the same metal properties and they won't last. If you really need to fill up the gaps, try welding it, from side to side and fill in your gaps with weld, or go get a TIG rod or something. It's really not a good idea to use coat hangers to fill in your gaps. It won't last in the long run. So that's how we got this fender fixed here. Like I said, the repair over here that where it went along the frame was just relatively straightforward. Basically cut a piece of flat metal and welded in place. Over on the other fender, a little bit more, about the same kind of work to do really to it. It had damages in kind of the same places. As you can see here, I welded a piece in there. Same process, got a piece of metal. I put it across the English wheel. I had a little bit of a curve up on this side, and then the metal also sloped this way. So just kept working it side to side. In some cases I bent it over a piece of an acetylene tank to get the arc, and then English wheel to get this one. There's a repair here you can see, which was similar to the other one over on the other fender, but is actually able to do it in one piece. Basically formed the piece and then rolled over the edge. There's bits and pieces over on the bench there from either side of it. Up here by where the headlights bolt through on the bar, I had to cut that piece out and repair that as well. Flat piece here, simple and straightforward. This was basically blown a great big hole into it. Same idea, cut a piece out, weld a flat piece in, re-drill the hole. And then again, the fender support on this side here, much like it was on the other fender, was broken, so had to form a piece of 1/8 piece there. Back in this corner, like this was a two-piece repair. There was the repair on the fender, plus this little edge here. Like I showed a couple minutes ago, I made it extra big, and that's the piece I replaced it there. And here's the bits and pieces of the repair that I used to cut that out. It's really nice to be able to do a repair in one piece sometimes, but there's nothing wrong with making your repair on the fender in two pieces, just so long as you weld it up nice and tight. There's a couple dents in the fender as well, so I had to shrink those, flatten them out and shrink them. But that's how we repaired our fenders. There's probably still a little bit more dolly work I'm going to have to do to it before I sandblast them, but they're solid fenders. They fit on the 32 pickup very well. Everything was mocked on. I'm not going to do really anything more to it except for sandblast them and epoxy prime. I'll cover some of the body work in another episode later on. That's how I did my repairs on the fender. If you have better ideas, shoot me a message, tell me what you think. But my philosophy was just keep it simple. Do the good welds, make a good fit, take your time. That's how we did our 32 Ford fenders. Hopefully you enjoyed. Like I said, along this video, we would have put in a bunch of pictures of what we did along the way. Please like, subscribe, send us your feedback, and have a good one. Take care.